Welcome back to Tronics in 10. We're going to start part 3 with adding additional components to our RF amplifier. And before we do that, I'm going to demonstrate how you can extend the voltage distribution bus further into your circuit. And the reason why I'm going to do this is because the collector lead of our transistor, there's going to be a resistor attached here, and it would have to go all the way back over to here to pick up the 9 volts. So I don't want to use a really long lead length on an RF amplifier. So what I'm going to do is I got a piece of circuit board that I cut off the same material as our printed circuit board, and I'm going to solder that to the middle voltage distribution bus, and that will extend our 9 volts into the center of our circuit. And I've also attached a bypass capacitor, which is 0.02 microfarad, and I'm going to be soldering that to ground. This ensures that we have no RF on our voltage distribution bus that is going into the center of our circuit. So I'm going to go ahead and tack this down. I have a jumper wire that I placed here on the end, and I'm going to solder that to the center voltage distribution bus, so this becomes common with these two circuit paths. Okay, that solders that down, and then we'll tack down our bypass capacitor to ground on the circuit board. And the next thing that we're going to do is add a 2.2K resistor, 2200 ohms. The color code is red, red, red. 3 red bands. We're going to attach one end of this resistor to the collector lead of our RF amplifier, our 2N3904 MPN transistor. And then the other end will be attached to the extension of the voltage distribution bus that we just soldered down. This makes for a much shorter path to our voltage source. I should mention that this whole circuit board layout could be squeezed together more so to conserve space, but I have things kind of spread apart. It just makes it easier for you to follow along, but there's a lot of things that you could do to make it more compact, but for presentation purposes I have things kind of spaced out here. This makes it easier to see what I'm doing. And Next I'm going to cut off the excess lead length. Okay, that completes our collector load resistor, 2.2K from the collector to our 9-volt distribution bus. Okay, the next thing that we're going to solder down is the other base resistor. Just to quickly recap here, what we did in part 2, we soldered down a 4.7K resistor, yellow, violet, red, and it went from the base lead of the NPN transistor in the RF amp over to ground. And now we're going to take a 22K resistor and solder it from the base lead of the transistor over to the 9-volt distribution pickup point. And the color code for 22,000 ohm resistor is red, red, orange. And we're going to tack that down now. Get my leads bent here. Okay, and we'll solder that down next. One end of the 22K resistor to the base lead of our RF amplifier. And then the other end will go to our 9-volt distribution circuit boards. And we'll clip off excess leads, just like that. Okay, that takes care of the resistors in our RF amplifier, the 2N3904 stage. So the next thing that we have to put down is some capacitors, and the first cap that I'm going to install is the emitter bypass capacitor, and that is a 0.02 microfarad capacitor, and it's going to go from the emitter lead of the transistor to ground. So we're going to do that next. Okay, I've soldered the emitter bypass capacitor in place. It's a 0.02 microfarad capacitor, and one end is on the emitter lead, and then the other end I soldered down on the ground plane of the circuit board. And we have time to add one more part, and this is going to be a 0.01 microfarad capacitor, and it's going to go from the base of our NPN transistor, the RF amplifier, and it's going to connect to the source of the previous stage, the FET transistor in our buffer stage. So I'm going to solder one end down. onto the base of the NPN transistor, and then the other end I'm going to solder on the source lead of the FET transistor in the buffer stage, the very first stage that we built. And this couples the RF signal from the buffer stage to the base of the RF amplifier, so that the signal can be passed on and amplified. So we're going to cut off extra leads like that. And once again, this is a 0.01 microfarad capacitor. Now, by now you've noticed I use a mix of disc caps and other style of capacitors. It's just what I have in my junk box. This particular circuit is not terribly critical for the type of capacitors. Whenever there's a need for a special type of capacitor, I will certainly let you know. Okay, well, we're out of time for this portion of building our circuit, and we will pick up where we left off in the next part. We'll finish up the RF amplifier. We'll add our detector diode and maybe get a start on our audio amplifier. So thanks for watching this episode of Tronics in 10. My name is Brian, and I hope you have a good day. Thank you. Bye-bye.